Yeah, again, like I was telling you and Josh,
Josh.
I'm just trying to connect some people, humanize some folks from all the dehumanization, and cause some awareness that
Right. Let them see people, not piles of feces.
yes, people. That's exactly right. Human beings. But Carly, I start from people's origin stories. Tell me about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born in Meriden, Connecticut, and then we moved to Alaska. And then when my parents divorced, a couple months into my kindergarten year, we moved to Washington, and lived with my mom's best friend and her family. So there's about 12 of us in a 2-bedroom house.
Wow.
In a teeny tiny house in a teeny tiny town in Washington, the base of the North Cascades. So beautiful area, but very small town, super rural. I started babysitting the neighbors' kids when I was 9, earning my own money. I was walking barefoot all summer long to the pool by myself, no problem. So I always had responsibility or been given, it's not like what I see in the city with the kids that just, I'm going, oh my gosh, I'd never have my kid riding the bus down or out here. And then I think when I was that age, I was out on my own, but it was a whole different world back then, So yeah, I grew up in teeny tiny rural Washington, and then through my 10th grade year, and then I moved more towards the Olympic Peninsula, live with my dad. So I graduated high school, but I also did Running Start. So when I graduated high school, I also had my associate's degree. Technically, I had my associate's degree before my diploma because their graduation's first. So that was cool. I then moved to California and attended Stanislaus State. And I played softball, fast pitch, at which point I was catcher 2 years. At the end of my second season, I got an injury and was prescribed some pretty hardcore medication that I was extraordinarily overprescribed considering the injury for an extremely long amount of time. Now looking back, I realize. And that was the beginning of the implode of my life,
Yeah, well, at some early on, people are handing out, or not handing out, but it seems like people are prescribing Oxycontin, like
that's exactly what
left
it was.
and right.
For broken ribs.
For something like that maybe didn't.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays if you break a rib, they say suck it up, wrap it tight, and Tylenol.
And just so I'm hearing you clearly, that's when you kind of, tell me in your own words.
So basically I was a catcher, and when I stood to, because the batter swung, she missed, so I stood to catch the ball while she swung back and hit me with like full speed with the bat, and broke 3 ribs, and the doctor prescribed me a just insane amount of this amazing, pill that was supposed to be, non-habit forming, etc., etc. Well, that was absolutely not the case. They over-medicated me for way too long, and one day I was going to work, because I also worked, I was a general manager for Domino's as well, so my salary was 60 hours a week. So I, as well as a full load of school plus softball, I was also running a restaurant. so my plate was completely full, and anyhow, but it turned one day I was running a little bit late, and so I was like, oh, I can just pick up my meds tomorrow, and halfway through my shift I was like not feeling so good, and just kind of like not feeling so hot, whatever. But halfway through the night I'm like, what the heck, I was feeling really, really crappy. I knew nothing of addiction ever in my life, and I didn't even know that what I was feeling was what addiction felt like, nothing. And I did go pick up my medication the next day, and I immediately started to feel better. For some reason, I still didn't make the connection until about 2 weeks later, when somebody stole my medication, and I went to my doctor, and she's like, oh no, we don't refill those, and I'm like, what? And that's when I started actually like looking into it and realized just how deep I was, just unknowingly. I was, really almost to where, I haven't been able to, I'm 40 now, and still I haven't been able to get it. I haven't been able to crawl out of it.
Well, I'm curious, so when that prescription was stolen, how did you get your...
Well, then I talked to friends, because I've always had a lot of friends, and I had a roommate at the time, and I was just like so devastated because it was one of their guests that had stolen my things or my prescriptions, and so they were like, oh well, we know somebody you can get them from.
Right.
I had never even purchased marijuana off the street in my life. I was goody-goody, if you will, but so I gave them money, and they went and did it for me, and so I could get by. So the first time buying drugs ever off the street was somebody else doing it for me, to basically fill in for my prescription that had been stolen.
Yeah.
So
And you're like a teenager at 19 or something?
Yeah, I was 19.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So and it snowballed from there. And quickly, so to speak. For how long and hard I worked to get where I was, it seemed like a blink of an eye before it was all taken away, So, and I've had the peaks and valleys ever since, my whole life. I have 3 children. My oldest just graduated high school last week, valedictorian. Like, she's wonderful, but unfortunately I haven't been able to be around much the last few years, just trying to get this thing right. I'm currently now on methadone clinic, giving that a shot. I'm going to counseling for mental health, PTSD, a lot of things. We've, living out here, we've been run over in our tent. That was terrible. Scariest thing in the world, sleeping.
Well, at night when you're sleeping, or daytime?
We were sleeping, and in the morning, that's how we were woken up, was being hit. Yeah, so, and it was a criminal case, so it's still ongoing, but, because this just happened morning after Thanksgiving this last year, yeah, so we're still recovering really from that, so,
Well, talk about, PTSD, that's all part of the trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Like, after trauma,
yeah.
complex PTSD, where
yeah,
all these
it's just
stacks.
Compounding it, and then, it's, sometimes it's just too much to bear. Too much to take, and you just want to check out for a little bit, but,
right.
And then you do take that one checkout pass, and somehow a week goes by and you've lost everything, and it's the worst cycle. It's the worst cycle, and you know it, and it's just trying to make yourself just get through that moment of weakness is what I'm working hardest on now.
Well, I couldn't imagine being unhoused and trying to be in recovery or get off of a substance, it just seems to me impossible. Like it just seems like those things do not
They don't
mix. Like
they don't.
Like there has to be some kind of stable housing so you can lock your door
Yeah.
and put whatever, and then you can work on other stuff.
And that's exactly, I mean, oh my gosh, we've been fighting that for years. We've been unhoused for 8 years now. And, I mean, we've been promised everything besides, the Playboy Mansion. But it just never seems to connect. There never seems to be that follow through. And I don't know why. I see people that I've been out here with for years, and they just, oh yeah, they came through and you handed me an apartment. I'm like, what? And I keep hearing, oh, they gave away apartments. They just gave away apartments. Like, come on, why am I never in the giveaway apartment street? Like,
yeah, it's hard to say if that's true or not. I have never heard of people getting I heard it's a pretty lengthy fight.
Process.
You have to like really go after the stuff.
Yeah, that's what I've always, and because I've been doing it. I've knocked on every door. I've yelled at every person. I've cried to every person. And it's just gotta keep going. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. You said you've been unhoused 8 years. Tell me about that transition 8 years ago.
Okay, so. I went into a treatment center, and in detox I met a friend, and we maintained a friendship after, and he's now my husband. I pretty much got pregnant right away, and we were both living in separate Oxford houses, and so we're like, okay, we need a plan. We barely know each other. We're gonna have a baby. We need a plan. So he started out going on Craigslist and getting day job, anything you could get. We were living in Bremerton, so it wasn't like it is here. And when he entered the right ad on the right day and with the right guy, and he was really liked us, and he liked our story and our enthusiasm and what we were about, and so he backed us financially to get our own company started, and we were thriving, doing great. I mean, thousands of dollars it costs to get licensed, bonded, insured, to get we were starting at less than zero, and vehicle, all the insurance we needed, plus just getting my husband's license was $3,000 alone, and that was just so he can drive, so I did our advertising, like I pregnant, hit the pavement, and I hung flyers on doors on cars, and I wouldn't let him hire anybody else for job. I'll do it, and so I would help, and so we kind of did all the jobs side by side, and we're doing really well. We put a good chunk of money down on a townhouse, because we were getting closer to having the baby, and turned out, because I ended up getting really, really sick right at the end of my pregnancy, and I was in the hospital, and turned out the woman that we were purchasing the home from, we were doing a lease to own option, and she wasn't the actual owner. She was technically a tenant who hadn't paid rent in like 2 years, and the real owner, he spent half the year in Spain, half the year here. So he came back. She was supposed to have been illegally evicted, gone out of the house. Well, she was, but she had moved us in, took our money, and fled. So he gets back, and he's like, I don't know what to tell you. So one fell swoop, we lost everything.
So you gave her the down payment.
Yeah, we
all
gave
that
her
stuff,
everything.
And
Yeah.
just got scammed out of all your money,
Yeah.
and then got your place, quote unquote, and then
Yep,
Wow.
and then nothing. And I'm in the hospital. I literally had my daughter on my birthday and called because it was like a quick, he wasn't even there. Like, because I was sick, like I said, that so they had to take me to Tacoma. He's still at Bremerton,
Right.
getting the nursery set up and stuff. So I call him to tell him who had the baby, and he's like, oh my gosh, I have some bad news, and because it all literally like happened on the same day.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it was insane. Timing was just wow.
So what did you guys do? You have a new baby. You had the baby?
Yeah, of course, I had her on my birthday, and they basically, because of our history, there was no there was no drug use during my pregnancy, nothing like that. I've done everything right, but for some reason it seems like, especially when homeless comes into play, they just automatically assume you fell back something. I did something wrong in their eyes, which I didn't, and so they basically took my baby because we didn't have anywhere to take her, and it all I mean, life just slid downhill from there. So we had no way. I mean, of course we brought it to the police because it was over $10,000. So we brought it to the police, but I check in every few months. There's nothing.
Yeah.
It's not anything they're pursuing at all. Even though this woman scammed them, so many people out of so much money. It's not priority, I guess. So
yes, someone's on the case. A detective's on the case for years. I mean, so they took away your child. I mean, as a new mom, what?
I went crazy. I was standing in the middle of Fred Meyer just screaming and crying, and I can't move. And I mean, my husband, he just slapped me, like, because he didn't know what to do either, and I was like, okay, it was like, I guess that's what I needed, like,
wow.
Get it together, like, this is, and because he was just like, yeah, he didn't know what to do either, and it's just like, this is not you, you're stronger than this. I'm like, I'm so sick of having to be stronger than this, like, why do I always have to be, why can't it just be a little easier, so, yeah, I mean, I can't say we've tried, tirelessly every single day, because it just, our last hurdle of housing, whatever, outreach lady had us, gave us a tent, everything, had us set up, and where a sweep was going to be next, and white trash it up, she said. And
so purposely putting you in a tent,
yeah, so we would,
so you can try and get housing.
Yeah,
during
and
the
she
sweep.
even said, I have tiny houses. You're gonna have to live separately at the same village, just because there's only singles right now. But then when there's a double, you guys will be first. So we agreed to that. Had contact with the woman every day for the 9 days up until the sweep, and then she didn't show up. And they don't tell you where you're going to go.
Like the day of the sweep, she didn't show up?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And they don't tell you where you're going to go until they take you. They're supposed to pick up and take you there. And nobody showed up. And I couldn't get her on the phone. I couldn't get her nothing for like 4 days. And then it was, I think I have a space available in the women's dorm at some. I'm like, what does that do for it? Well, that's not what we discussed, and that was not what you guaranteed. You promised us, and now we've been sitting here like with no tent, which honestly, going into a tent is like traumatizing in itself. We just went through almost getting killed in a tent a couple months ago.
Yes. Yes. So it's like you
that's even like
crawl into a tent and you're like, am I gonna get run over again?
Yeah, it's all just crazy. We've had a lot happen to us, and We don't sit there and woes us. Like we keep trying, but I find myself at some points just being like, ugh, whatever.
Yeah, totally.
I'm tired.
Yeah. It's to me, I'm like, that's understandable. I get that. Yeah. I mean, on the same level, but it's like I hear that. Well, tell me about your current situation. Where are you guys?
Right now, we are. We had a tent. Our methadone clinic moved out to Renton, and so we're kind of free birds right now with that. So since the tiny house thing didn't work out, so we figured we'd try moving out closer to there because we're really trying to make that work. And somebody burnt our tent down, and so that's just another I could have been in there just curled up in the middle under the blankets, and so there's another
Yeah, so it's even if someone gives you a tent, you don't feel safe.
Yeah, I don't even feel safe. I don't feel
safe. You don't
feel
safe, and how do you sleep?
Yeah, exactly.
Not feeling safe.
And that's and then that goes back to the drugs.
Right.
And that's so if you see
that cycle, right?
It's so hard to stay. It's hard to stay sober because, even just for what I feel is my safety, but also staying awake endless days at a time, that's not safe either.
Yeah, it's just like your nervous system's in fight or flight all the time.
All the time.
And you take this substance that maybe calms that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Of course there's consequences, major ones.
Right.
But it's like
it's always something for a little bit because having that anxiety on a 10 all the time, you can't. Nobody can live like that.
No.
It's not. You can't live like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and no one does live like that. You can't.
You can't. Yeah. You'll find
housed or unhoused.
You will figure out a way.
Yes.
Housed, you'll drink a glass of wine.
Yeah.
It's just. So So right now we're just. We don't even have a tent. We have a sleeping bag that we carry around with us, and we just sleep where we feel somewhere safe, and try and sleep every night, because we really are. We're trying to get the clean thing, or as clean as possible, because it is easier for us to stay on track with appointments and stuff. Keep track when we are more clean, but. We're trying to balance out just whatever we can,
Carly, is there anything that you would want to say to the people of Seattle?
I understand that it is, it's kind of an annoyance, maybe a hindrance, maybe just repulsive to you, that people to see somebody, behind a bush in public, using the bathroom, or seeing the remnants of such. But please understand that, we are pushed to the dumpsters to even be able to eat our lunch. Security of any building, this is private property. We get pushed and pushed back to where we're sitting by the dumpsters, and then they kick us out of there. Where do we go? I know most folks don't have the problem of being able to use a restroom in a public place. However, most of us are never, that's just not an option. So, if you're not allowed to use a public restroom, where do you go? So ask yourself that next time you get repulsed by somebody who's having to go pee behind a bush. If you're a 40-year-old woman who has 3 kids, and has had 3 kids, and you have to go pee right now, but none of the 10 businesses you're looking at will let you in, what do you do?
Yeah.
So, yeah, next time somebody comes in, maybe give them a chance. Not everybody wants to go do drugs in your bathroom. Most people don't want to. Really, most people don't want to do drugs in your bathroom.
I'm curious, are you still in contact with your kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they live over in Bremerton, so
Okay.
yeah. Yes, so they're happy, healthy, they're thriving, and they're close. So yeah.
Carly, thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
It's good to hear your voice. I appreciate it.
Thank you for talking to me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm gonna grab that little mic.
Oh yeah.